This is Mickey, one of the most famous fictional characters in history, known around the world for his multiple TV shows and movies, and he belongs to Disney. And this is also Mickey, one of the most famous characters in Paraguay, known throughout the country and loved by all, but not for his movies. Instead, he's famous for his cookies, despite what you might think. These two Mickeys, although practically identical, are not the same character, nor do they belong to the same person. One is one of the most famous fictional characters in history, known worldwide for his multiple programs and movies. As of 2024, he has generated more than $52 billion and belongs to Disney, one of the most recognizable and powerful companies in the world, with multiple cruises, theme parks, and all sorts of media, valued at almost $200 billion. The other Mickey is the mascot of a small Paraguayan company that makes cookies. Both own the character Mickey that we all know. But how is this possible? And is it even legal? Well, to answer that and more, let me tell you one of my favorite stories in the world of cinema and business. This tale involves war, dictatorships, a David versus Goliath story, and a few plot twists that can actually help us make more sense of Disney's most recent and controversial decision. This saga begins in 1935 in Paraguay. The country had just endured a deadly conflict with Bolivia over the Chaco, a tangle of sun-baked scrub. An earlier conflagration, the War of the Triple Alliance, had seen Argentina, Brazil, and Uruguay wipe out half of Paraguay's population. Although some time had passed, the country still had some scars left from those bloody times. In the midst of all this, a young Italian immigrant eager to succeed, named Pasquale Blasco, who was escaping Europe, fearing what was brewing due to what was happening in Germany at that time, opened a tiny shop selling fruit. Like any business, it needed a name, and he chose Mickey. We don't know exactly why he chose this name. It's a mystery that will exist until time machines are invented. But according to Viviana Blasco, one of Pasquale's descendants, he used to travel to neighboring Argentina, more specifically to Buenos Aires, as a vacation spot. At the time, Argentina's capital was known as a cosmopolitan city, famous for its great variety of ideas and art, as well as for its movie theaters showing international films. One of those films would involve a certain mouse we all know. Now it's important to remember that Mickey Mouse as a character was new. His first appearance was in 1928 in The Gallopin' Gaucho. So for Mr. Pasquale, knowing about this character would probably be equivalent to traveling to a bar on the other side of the world and discovering they have a mascot. You wouldn't think much of it, especially when you consider that Latin America wouldn't become an important target for Disney until 1938, when they dubbed Snow White, thus creating a true cultural milestone in the region, 3 years after Pasquale opened his store. And although I want to make it clear that this doesn't necessarily make what Mr. Pasquale would proceed to do right, as he allegedly would take that same mouse he saw in an animated short and turn it into the mascot of his store, only putting it sideways, and this would prove very important later down the line. You will see why in a second. Anyway, a few decades later in the 60s, Pasquale would turn his fruit shop into a gelato store, a type of ice cream from Italy, and then step down due to his age. The store would pass from here to there, changing hands among various family members, even closing for several years at times, until one of his sons, Roscoe Blasco, began to venture into food packaging, selling various spices and food products. And so it was that in 1969, in the midst of Alfredo Stroessner's dictatorship that would last almost 4 decades, he founded the food company Mickey and registered the name Mickey and the image of this mouse that starts all this trouble. The company would grow in the subsequent decades, starting to make products from cookies and condiments to sweets and rice. And here comes one of my favorite details, and one of the reasons why I'd like to visit Paraguay. In 1980, the company started incorporating a mascot costume of their Mickey, which would be outside the company property, giving sweets to all the children who passed by. And it's a tradition that continues to this day. And who is the person inside the costume? Well, we don't know, as it's one of the company's best kept secrets. According to them, it helps maintain the magic of the character and fill children with smiles. Or as the man behind the costume said, seeing the smiles on the kids' faces is priceless. Now for the next part, we need to jump back to the 90s. More specifically, 1993, just 4 years after Paraguay freed itself from the dictator Alfredo Stroessner, who ruled the country in an authoritarian manner from 1954 to 1989. In 1993, Walt Disney decided to sue the Mickey Food Company for trademark infringement, but in 1995, Trademark Tribunal ruled in Mickey's favor. Obviously, Disney didn't stop there. We're talking about Disney, the company that sued a kindergarten for putting drawings of Mickey and his friends on their walls, and that also sued a father for wanting to put Spider-Man, his son's favorite superhero, on his tombstone. Do you think they were going to stop just because a sovereign and democratic government told them no? So, Disney appealed again, taking the dispute to Paraguay's highest court. There, one judge agreed that Paraguayans could easily confuse the Disney Mickey and the Paraguayan Mickey, but Disney didn't reckon on a legal loophole. And finally, after 5 long years, in 1998, Paraguay's Supreme Court issued its final rule. Through decades of uninterrupted use, Mickey had acquired the right to be Mickey. Their reasons? Easy. The Paraguayan government gave 4 reasons. First, the Mickey trademark had been registered in Paraguay since at least 1956, and Pasquale's descendants had since renewed it, without protest from the multinational. Second, yes, Disney had registered Mickey Mouse as a trademark, but they had only done it facing forward, and the Paraguayan Mickey was sideways. So technically, they could be different mice. Remember what I told you about this? Third, as crazy as it sounds, Disney never registered the name Mickey in Paraguay. And fourth, my favorite point for something I'll tell you next, the Mickey Food Company had registered the Mickey trademark within the food category, not in any of the categories where Disney had registered its mouse, such as the entertainment category. This meant that the Mickey Food Company only had the right to use its name and Mickey Mouse in the context of food food products within Paraguay. Which means, and here comes my favorite part, Disney, this huge multinational with 250,000 employees and with an annual revenue of nearly $90 billion, is prohibited from doing anything related to food products in Paraguay because a company that has 280 workers that packages hot sauce, soybeans, multicolored sprinkles from a country of less than 7 million people beat them to their most prized possession, Mickey Mouse. And I have a suspicion that although not solely because of this, since there are many reasons why they might want to do this, yes, partly, Disney currently scans the entire body of their actors in character just in case it's necessary, as well as constantly suing for the minimum use of their brand, like with the kindergarten or the father case.